Hello everyone. Welcome back to Glow and Tell. I'm your host, Sophie DiLoretto, and I have missed you so much. I have so missed talking to you guys and just having this as my reflection space. I'm so sorry I've been gone. I know I see your comments and you're like, well, girl, why has it been like 2 months since there's been an episode? I feel you. It pains me too. I'm so sorry. However, the reason for that gap in posting and kind of just me struggling to stay on top of everything ties into what we're going to be talking about today. So I felt like this was a fitting episode to make. It's been something that's been on my mind so much lately, literally just plaguing me. So I feel really inspired to talk about it. And like, I've just been mentally in a flow state lately. So I'm just so excited to get into it. But let's catch up for a second. As I mentioned, it's been over 2 months since my last episode. So if you don't follow me anywhere else, you might be like, oh my gosh, it's been ages. But I do post everywhere else, and on my YouTube channel and Instagram, like every day, every week. So if you do want to keep up with me more in that aspect, I do weave a lot of my glow and tell topics into my videos. However, the past few months have been very introspective for me. I feel like I haven't been, physically doing a ton. Like I haven't been traveling or doing, crazy things, but at the same time, I've been doing so much. I have been feeling, as I mentioned, very introspective and reflective. And I think it kind of goes hand in hand with the season we're going into. We're going into winter. Where I live, it's really been feeling like winter since daylight savings hit. It's dark at like 4 to 5 p.m. and it feels like the earth is starting to hibernate, and I'm also kind of starting to hibernate. It's been honestly a struggle for me to, keep up with the productivity and my work while feeling this way, because truthfully, I just want to like lay on the couch with a cozy blanket, watch movies, and sip tea. But the world simply doesn't work that way. I can't do that every day, and it kind of sucks. Like I wish we could all just live so intuitively and just free flowing, do whatever we wanted, do whatever feels intuitive and right. But inevitably, even though we're entering this like hibernation time, we kind of have to keep on grinding because we need work, we need money. But nonetheless, I've just really noticed that I physically have been feeling the physical manifestation of winter, which this isn't about winter. This episode isn't going to be about that, but it's all to say I've been thinking a lot. I've been in my head a lot. I've been feeling a lot. I have written so many podcast ideas into my little notes on my phone of just different ideas that have popped into my head. Inspiration has been pouring out of me. And I honestly feel like I've been having some internal shifts in the way I've been thinking about things. And we'll get into that more in the coming episodes. But I kind of just wanted to update you about, where I'm at mentally. Where I'm at physically is I have been just embracing fall and winter. I decorated, I redid my room. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, you will notice I have these posters behind me now. So we kind of changed this setup. I honestly really want to like bedazzle my mic with like pink rhinestones. Maybe we'll do that soon, but Christmas is coming up and I'm super excited for that. I'm going to Washington next month, so that's really exciting. So getting into what we're going to be talking about today, it's essentially this concept of I want to do everything, so I do nothing. I feel this so deeply to my core, and not even just I want to do everything, so I do nothing, but also I want to do everything and I feel crippled by the fact that I can't, or I want to do everything and I'm so high functioning that I'm burnt out, stressed, and all over the place rather than like doing nothing. It's almost like I feel this, but in a high functioning way. Like I'm still doing or trying to do everything, but it's not working and it's not working to my favor. And also in other ways, I do want to do everything, so I do nothing. Like with this podcast, I want to do it and I want to keep up with it and be doing it every week, but it's like the more time that goes on without me making an episode and the harder it is to become consistent, the more I'm like, ooh, it's hard to just jump back into it now. It's out of my routine in a way. And I also want to say I received a comment a few weeks ago, and every nice comment I receive is like so sweet and heartwarming, but some really hit different than others. Like some I really feel to my core and they really resonate with me. So first of all, thank you so much to any of you guys that comment, DM me, like send sweet messages, support me, even if I don't always answer, because like it can just be a little overwhelming to try to answer every single one. I really deeply appreciate it and I just thank you so much. But this comment came from this girl, Alyssa. So Alyssa, thank you. And it literally meant so much to me that I like screenshotted it, showed it to my mom, and I feel like what she said resonates with how I felt about this to begin with. But she said, essentially, I adore this podcast, have listened to every episode 2 to 3 times and journaled about them because every episode is so insightful impactful and inspiring. And to be honest, I prefer that this podcast only has episodes when you're inspired because it makes every single episode a showstopper. And she said some more sweet things, but I'm going to read you that part because that part I was like, wow, I just deeply appreciate that. And literally reading it, I was like tearing up because you can think about this two ways. And I feel like this happens with some people's podcasts, and not that this is a problem, but it's like if a person were to make 2 episodes a week, 3 episodes a week, and it starts to just become noise. It's like the messaging is a bit lost or they aren't super inspired. So the work doesn't come across feeling extremely authentic or impactful, which by the way, that's okay. Like it's okay to have a casual podcast like that. And although I do like aspects of that, I also love the fact that I make podcasts when I'm feeling deeply inspired about something and I feel like the words flowing through me and it comes across to you as well. It's like really special to me that this is a place where I'm not just talking about whatever just to talk about it. I'm not talking about things I'm not passionate about. I'm not like making something I think you want to hear or making something I should make or someone else tells me to make or anything like that, or just doing like generic things that don't matter to me. It's truly things that I've sat with, learned lessons from, feel inspired by, and basically that each episode is like a crafted work and a fully thought through sentiment. And I just love that that comes across. And I don't know, that comment was just so sweet and meaningful to me. So, maybe there will be a day where I make them super regularly and they're not always so inspired, but I also just want you guys to know that even if I'm not dishing them out like every week or twice a week, I'm really coming to you when I have something profound or impactful to say. And I hope you can kind of appreciate that and see that. So what we're talking about today is this paradox of having a huge amount of creative energy, inspiration, just endless ideas that you want to act upon, but limited time. It's like there are all these ideas, there's all these possibilities. You think about what your life could be like, and there are so many things. There are so many things on the horizon, so many things that you like to do or would want to do or can see yourself doing, but you have a limited amount of energy, emotional bandwidth, time to do them all, clarity on what you really should choose, because there's the potential of, you choose to do something and go down that route, but it's the wrong one and it leads you away from something you should have chosen, or you choose one route and although you do maybe love it, you feel like you've left all the other things behind. And this is something that I've genuinely felt since before I even had the words to articulate what this feeling was or understand it. I remember vividly one day in elementary school, must have been first or second grade, the teacher had a little piece of paper and the assignment was to just like write about me. And one of the questions was like, what I want to be when I grow up. And this was something I struggled to answer for like ever, literally forever. I couldn't just put one thing. I would write 5 things minimum. I want to be a veterinarian because I love animals, and a makeup artist because I love doing makeup, and a hairstylist because I love hair, and a fashion designer because I love fashion, and a singer because I love singing and I want to be a pop star, and also a writer because I adore writing and I want to write my own books. And it was so impossible for me, even at that age, to just choose and commit to one thing. I remember changing my answer all the time and never being able to confidently say I wanted to do any one thing because picking one meant leaving all the others behind. And I felt like I had so much more to offer than just one thing. When this idea really became more pronounced to me was a year or two ago when I read The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This book is renowned, but I knew nothing of the book going into it, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. It's quite a depressing tale. Although it's not biographical, like it wasn't an autobiography of Sylvia, it kind of was inspired by her real life events. And one of the most profound things that I took away from that book, and many other people, because it's a very common analogy now, is her analogy about the fig tree. I don't have the book right in front of me, so I'm not going to be like quoting or remembering it perfectly, but in the story, it's like she's underneath a fig tree. She looks up and sees all of these beautiful plump figs, and each fig represents a possibility. It's like each fig is a different future, a different choice, a different career. You look up and one fig is being a writer, and one is having kids, and one is being a scientist, and one is being a dancer. And by the time she finishes considering one fig, like half of them have fallen off and rotten and died. And so it's like the opportunities are crippling and fading away as she's trying to even make a decision about one of them. And I think that's something we literally all can relate to. Having decision paralysis, wanting to do so so many things, but not being able to commit to any one or not knowing where to start. I know I personally have dealt with this, and so many people in my life have also struggled with this. And I think this can make us feel almost more defeated because it's like we feel lazy. We feel like, why am I not doing anything even though I want to do things? I have this creativity and the desire to do these things, but why can I not get myself to do them? Why do I feel paralyzed with the decisions, with the fatigue from honestly just considering everything? But it's kind of comforting to know that this isn't laziness. We're full of imagination and creativity. It's love and desire, and it's wanting your life to be the fullest, best version that it can be, the most aligned version it can be. So if you have been feeling this way and you kind of feel bad about yourself or get down on yourself for not making a decision or not doing something and you kind of just feel defeated, just know not only do we all struggle with this, but it's not that it's laziness or that you're a bad person. I think the other struggle with this is through the school system in general, we're conditioned and kind of molded to go down this one path. Like, it's literally the whole crux of the education system, at least in the US where I live. It's what do you want to be? And we're going to train you to be that and make you the best at it. And as a kid at like 5 years old, trying to make a decision about what I want to do forever, even at like 17 years old, when you pick a major to pursue in college, it feels like the biggest decision ever. And like choosing the wrong thing could be detrimental. And I think it's honestly harmful that societally that's how things are. I think it crushes people who are multi-talented, highly imaginative and creative, kids who have many ambitions and ideas, and it makes it seem like doing all of them isn't possible. And I'm not here to tell you like you can do this job, this job, this job, this job, and this job, because as I mentioned, like me trying to do that has sort of led me to be burnt out and stressed. But there are ways to manage this and allow our creative selves to flourish. That's what we're going to be talking about today. But I just wanted to kind of mention that I think the reason that a lot of us feel this way is because this is how we're conditioned to be from society. And as people, we are multidimensional, multifaceted. It feels impossible to think about suppressing certain sides of ourselves that could be amazing to cater to what we need to do to fit into society and, have a life and a job. The other thing that I feel kind of encapsulates this in a way, and it seems a little bit silly, but in this like chronically online era of life, it almost reminds me of the concept of the aesthetic and, picking an aesthetic, the clean girl aesthetic, cottagecore aesthetic, like pink Pilates princess aesthetic. It's like instead of having our multidimensional, multifaceted selves who love multiple different things and different kinds of things, people feel pressured to conform to a certain aesthetic to fit in, or they just buy a bunch of random decor for their room that doesn't feel aligned with who they are, but is to fit the aesthetic and like be trendy. And I'm also not trying to criticize you if that's something you've done, because I do feel like we're like the victims of the problem, not the problem. And it's why I've always struggled to pick my own aesthetic, and I've had so many different ones. And I feel what I've settled upon now is a true representation of the things I love. And I've really worked over the years to not just follow whatever I see on Pinterest, but to take inspiration from those things and keep aspects that I love so that everything feels aligned with me. But I think that this is harmful because we internalize the belief that we need to pick an identity aesthetic. And when there isn't something that feels like it fits us perfectly, because that's not even possible, feels unrepresentative. And I also think it's kind of goes along with the fact that as humans, our brains like to compartmentalize things. They like to label things. It's why we feel more comfortable having labels and ways to categorize things in our mind. I don't think it's all harmful. I think, an aspect of that is helping us better understand ourselves and seeing where we fit into the world around us. And that's what our brains are trying to do. I just think it can be harmful because we weren't meant to be one thing forever. We're not meant to just fit into a little aesthetic that doesn't really represent us. And humans have lived multiple identities, multiple lives throughout their whole history, and change is inevitable. So of course we want to do different things, and of course we want to try different hobbies, but I think this feeling can creep up on us like, well, do I want to do all those things? Like, do I want to take up pottery and do Pilates and learn how to do ballet and learn the guitar and start a podcast? Yes, but do I have the time, and do I even know where to start, and do I feel so overwhelmed with the prospect of trying to do all those things that I'm probably going to do nothing? Also, yes, what I've found is that we're experiencing inspiration overload. Okay, there isn't a lack of inspiration anymore. I am feeling inspiration flowing through me like all the time, ideas upon ideas upon ideas. We're in an era of inspiration. Pinterest itself is like an inspiration engine. It's where we all go to get inspired, to get ideas, to see cute, pretty things. But I don't think the problem is a lack of inspiration for us anymore. It's not like our creative endeavors are hindered by not having ideas and not having inspiration. That can be an issue, but I think a big part of it is inspiration paralysis. And it can also be seeing highlight reels of what other people's lives look like, what other careers look like. And, maybe you scroll on TikTok and you see someone who's like an Airbnb host and they have all these Airbnbs and they're talking about how they make so much money and it's the best thing ever. And you see content creators and you're like, oh my God, this is my dream life. This would be so perfect. I want to do this too. Or you see people being like businesswomen, CEOs, and you're like, I want to do that too. It's like every path looks so enticing, partially because it may potentially be, but also partially because it's this highlight reel we're seeing online, this inspiration where everything is so curated and looks so perfect that we're seeing the best parts of these things. And it makes it so hard to pick one thing when everything looks so enticing. And as I was doing research on this topic, I also found this is more prevalent and common in women. In terms of the gender roles that women occupy in today's society, women are often conditioned to be multidimensional caretakers, creators, performers, nurturers, helpers. So we grow up with multiple selves inside of us. So this feeling may be particularly strong if you are a woman or have kind of played the female gender roles in society. So let's talk about why we freeze and feel like we can't do anything. This paralysis happens because choosing one thing feels like killing all of the others. As I've kind of mentioned and also just firsthand experienced, I am not able to give my 100% to everything at once. I clearly haven't been able to be super consistent with my podcast because I'm prioritizing my YouTube channel or my other social medias. It's really, really hard to do everything at once. So in a way, choosing one of those things, although I really want to do both, is like killing the other one because I can't properly nurture it and give it everything it needs to thrive and grow. And the other aspect is I think perfectionism creeps in a lot. And I've definitely felt this. Even before I launched a podcast, I had wanted to do it for so long and I put it off for so long. I was like, my cover needs to be perfect. My name needs to be perfect. My episodes need to be perfect. I need to have this all figured out before I even start. And that's just simply not the case because the truth is you can wait forever trying to wait for it to be perfect. And a billion other people are going to come in, make a podcast, launch it before you, and you will just waste all that time trying to make it perfect when really you just need to make a step. Like you need to do something or you probably never will. Like that's what happens so often. So I got to a point where I was just like, okay, we're making a decision on this. I can always change it. Like crazy concept. If this cover art isn't perfect for my podcast, I can change it. Like it's okay. At least I'm starting. At least I'm giving it more time to grow and reach people. And at least I'm starting to put this art out there rather than waiting forever to do it. And I think the other thing is this fear. So there's like the horror of killing identities you wanted to pursue, the perfectionism that comes along with wanting to do something perfectly, and the fear of wasting time or choosing the wrong thing. Because imagine going down a path for years and spending a ton of money and a ton of time doing something, graduating college and realizing you hate this job and you don't want to do it forever, or you wish you would have done something else. And if you feel this way, please don't feel bad about it. I know I just made that sound so detrimental, but again, that's not even the end of the world if that does happen because you've learned things, you've grown, and at least now you know you don't want to do that. But I just mean the thought of choosing the wrong thing and going down that path and saying like, what if I spent all this time working on something that doesn't even matter to me, that I don't even care about when I could have been pursuing the real thing that I'm meant to do? That is crippling. And lastly, it's that this paralysis comes from the fact that our dopamine systems get more pleasure from fantasizing about our future lives than thinking about the prospect of taking the messy first steps. Like the idea of being a business owner, having tons of orders come in, making super cute products is so like romanticized in our minds. But then thinking about like, okay, how do I do this? Like, how do I start an LLC? Like, let me make a business bank account. It just doesn't match up with the dreamy idea we had. So it can make us not want to act upon it because we want that end result and we don't really want to have to do the messy steps to get there. We'll talk about this more in a bit, but I almost kind of feel this way. I'm not going to say I fully feel like I chose the wrong thing, but as I mentioned, so many prospects, so many ideas, so many things I loved to do. So when I was going to pick a major for college, I've always been super passionate about the environment, conservation, sustainability. So picking environmental science as a major felt very aligned. And it was, but at the same time, as I was in school, I was like, I don't know if I want to be a geologist. Like, I don't know if this is like exactly what I want to do. I don't know if I want to spend my days working in a wastewater treatment plant. Not that those aren't important things at all. I love rocks and geology, not so much the wastewater treatment plant, but they're very important things and I did enjoy them. But as I graduated, spent $60,000 on school, I started to feel like, why do these jobs that I'm applying to not feel right? Why am I still being eaten alive inside at the thought of never pursuing YouTube, which was another thing I really, really wanted to do? Like, I couldn't reconcile that in my mind. I ended up starting a YouTube channel as I was applying to all these jobs and I was interviewing for these jobs. I got a few interviews during that time. And I remember interviewing and being like, oh my God, like, I do not want to do this job. I would be there, like, not begging for the job, but I'd be like, really like, yes, I really want to clean up hazardous waste in brown fields. Like, it's so funny when you think about it. But I just remember being like, I don't know if this is it for me. I don't know if this is totally right. Like, there has to be a way to combine all of the things I love into one and not just have to choose that and kind of like forget about the dreams of YouTube and beauty and fashion. When I decided to pursue my YouTube channel, which was right after I graduated, like, let me just tell you, I could not get the prospect of starting a YouTube channel out of my mind. Literally could not. If I go back and look at my journals from those past years, literally like high school journals, middle school journals, it was all wanting to start a YouTube channel so bad. Clearly, like, it was not leaving my mind. I didn't feel like so excited to go start an environmental science job. I was still really passionate about environmental science, helping climate change. That was super important to me. But I was like, girl, I don't know if this is right for me. I don't even see myself working in like a chemistry lab. Like, it just doesn't feel like the thing for me. You know what I mean? So when I started that channel and things really flowed and it came easily to me and things started going well really quickly, not only did I realize what it felt to be on a flow path, but I realized that I was combining a bunch of my interests into one thing. Still reconciling kind of the environmental science like aspect of this, because environmental science is still something that I want to pursue more and eventually have like some sort of professional career that's intertwined with that. And I've thought about ways that I'm going to do that. But for the time being, making videos and being a content creator combines so many of the things that I love. First, we have writing outlines for videos, writing kind of like scripts or loose scripts for videos, or just even elaborating on my ideas and making a cohesive plan for the video. It involves writing. Second, my creativity. I'm able to be so creative with the ideas for my videos. I've really started to have more fun lately with my YouTube videos, making creative intros, little skits that I've like never seen anyone do, just trying to kind of think outside the box and use my creativity. And number three, film. I love film. That's another one I didn't even mentioned earlier. I am obsessed with movies. I wanted to be a film major so bad too. Like, that was another thing. I'm like, this is so hard for me to pick things, but now I'm able to almost be like a cinematographer and a director, like directing my own YouTube videos. I know that sounds silly, but with the way, especially when I make more high production videos, I've learned so much about cameras and color grading and editing, and I'm really thinking about how I'm going to frame each shot and make the shots visually interesting. And even something as simple as a morning routine, I'm like, let's do establishing shots first, like they do in movies, to kind of set the scene and put the viewer into the scene. So I'm really able to utilize all of those skills in combination with, of course, like beauty, fashion, hair, you know, all of those fun things I loved. And also the fact that I love to talk. I'm a Gemini, I'm a yapper. The YouTube channel is the perfect place for me to talk. And also my kind of introspectiveness, my thoughtfulness. I feel that's a quality that I have to offer as well. Like my ability to convey information to others and sort of do what I'm doing on this podcast, which is share stories and kind of help people. So it's like this was a way for me to do so many of those things I loved in one, and it might not even be like the way I originally thought I might do them, but it ends up working out and it feels like all of my talents are kind of playing into one, and maybe that's why it really worked well for me and kind of it flowed for me. And the other thing is, I feel like in society and in media, this idea is sort of portrayed as we're meant to have one passion. It's like you see people in movies and they're like, I'm going to be a doctor from the time they're like 4 years old, or they're like, I'm going to be a professional figure skater, and they know it from the time they're so young. That's why I think I felt so different for not feeling that way and having so many different interests. And it's not even that that's uncommon. I think it's just easier for movies to like portray a person who knows exactly what they want to do rather than one who's like, girl, I don't know, I have like 30 different interests. But at least one thing I've started to realize about this decision paralysis and this like I want to do everything so I do nothing is that our lives and our destinies and our paths unfold one small passion at a time rather than all at once. And so even though we assume we're meant to have one passion and one big path, it truly is the case that the way that our lives end up being is by choosing many small passions rather than feeling like we're going down one big one. So if you're feeling this multi-passionate energy like I've been feeling, here's what our new mindset about this is going to be. Number one, we aren't scattered, we're multidimensional. I really struggle with feeling scattered. Even in my workflow, I just feel like I'm context switching a lot. And although I can kind of get into a flow state, it feels like my brain is going a million miles a minute. You know, I see something and I'm like, oh, I wanted to do that. Oh, I need to post over there. Oh, I need to do this. Like I need to clean. Just in my daily life, I'm scattered. I'm thinking about so many things at once. But a way to reframe that in a more positive light is that we're multidimensional, and having so many things we want to do is a blessing. And it's so much better than to have absolutely no ideas and no ambition. But also, if you have no ideas and no ambition, don't worry. Maybe we'll save that for another podcast. The other mindset shift is you're not confused. You're curious. I really want to make a podcast about curiosity. It's something I've kind of been pondering a lot lately. And I've sort of realized that I am a very curious person, and I never really thought of it in that light. I feel like it's not a common adjective that's used to describe people. I think being curious is so cool. Just like wondering how things work, finding them out, asking people questions, and being just genuinely curious and enthralled with life rather than not caring. So I think being curious about things is a blessing. Being curious about the life paths we could choose and the futures we can have is a blessing. And the third mindset shift is you don't need to pick oneself forever. I think I have kind of thought, and I think it's a commonly held belief, that like we're choosing who we're going to be forever and there's no changing that. But people pivot careers all the time. People master one thing and move on to the next. You know, life is all about change, and we can learn, adapt, grow, and shift as things happen. It's just not the end of the world for things not to work out, you know? Like even though I pursued a degree in environmental science that I'm not currently using, and it feels a little bit bad to think about how much money I spent, but at the same time, I'm so grateful to have had a degree. I feel very good that I have that to fall back on. And also, I learned so many things. It's still something I want to pursue. So even though things may not develop in the way you may think, everything serves us a purpose. So nothing is a waste. Even if you went your whole life, you know, in a career, and at age 50 or 60, you decide you want to do something else, that's totally fine too. Like we're taking it one step at a time. And creativity thrives when you follow what lights you up, not what makes sense on paper. Like I said, I was not feeling creatively fulfilled when I was going down, you know, this traditional path after my degree. It was not feeling good. I was actually feeling like impending doom at the prospect of having that career forever and never pursuing these other things I wanted. And I feel so creatively fulfilled now that I'm doing something else. So I know it's not always easy to just like choose, and we're going to talk about more concrete steps in a second, but I just want you to know that following what lights you up and what feels in flow with your life is always a good idea. Like for me, my many passions, as I mentioned, feed each other. Like how all of my little interests come together to kind of make being a YouTuber and a content creator and a podcaster come very easily for me. And they allow me to creatively experiment in so many different ways. It's such a treat, like it's such a gift. And you know, my personal wellness routines support my content. My journaling that I love to do supports my clarity and introspection. Personal aesthetic and interests feed my brand identity. Like everything you do and all of the things you love come together to create this well-rounded person. And that's kind of going back to the aesthetic thing. Like, rather than choosing an aesthetic you see online, putting a bunch of things in your room that are meaningful to you, like how I love moons and stars. That's been like a personal interest of mine. And although I don't see that in the pink Pilates princess coquette aesthetic pictures on Pinterest, I love them. So there are moon and stars covering my room. And same thing with like the pink aesthetic. I don't really see a lot of crystals and plants in those pictures, but I love crystals and plants. So my aesthetic is like moons, stars, crystals, plants, and pink. And I love that. It's like a perfect fit for my vibe. You can do the same thing, not just with like your space and your aesthetic, but with your life. Like, what do you bring to the table? Even in a traditional job, your superpower is that you have a unique perspective and can do it in a different way. This is kind of a side point, but like how I mentioned, I sort of use my creative writing background and my love for film and cinematography to create well-crafted videos that have establishing shots, wide and close shots, storytelling through imagery. It makes my videos have a unique perspective that others can't necessarily replicate or like wouldn't do. Like, even at a desk job, say you're doing like admin project management work, you can bring in your outside skills of having creative organization to bring like new ideas to the workplace, or to kind of make your presentations in a way others wouldn't necessarily do, and like step outside the box a little bit and push the boundaries on that. Things like that, where your interests can kind of come to a crux that you might not have even thought of. And that's a superpower, because rather than conforming to the regular, like that everyone else is doing, you're bringing something new to the table and you're lending a new, fresh perspective and something new that no one's seen before. And I also want you to know that doing something new and fresh doesn't have to be like revolutionary. Like I said, just the fact that you're you and you have your unique perspective and ideas, that is what makes it original and unique. I know this was kind of a side point, but I kind of just wanted to like tell you that even without doing something in a revolutionary way, you can bring your multiple interests into what you do to do it in a new way that will make it feel more creatively fulfilling, emotionally fulfilling, aligned, and will bring like a cool new perspective to whatever you're doing. So let's talk about the practical tips, how to make space for it all, because these are things I'm going to be working on. And after all this talking, you're probably wondering like, okay, girl, what do I do? First, choose your fig of the season. Okay, we're back to the fig tree analogy. Actually, one assignment for this podcast episode is going to be get out your journal, write a little tree, draw some figs on it, and think about what is on your fig tree. I've actually done this before. I think I did this last year as like a journaling exercise, and it's so cool to gain clarity on what it is that's occupying your mind and really think through like, what could this look like? Like, how could these things kind of go into each other? But make your fig tree and think about, what is your fig of the season? Not for your whole life, but just for now. Like, when you look at all of these things and all of these prospects and potential things you could pursue, which one feels right for right now? Like, I know in my mind, I have so many ideas. I'm like, eventually I'd love to like make my own journals and have my own brand that's environmentally focused. And like, I have all of these ideas, but right now it doesn't feel like the right time yet. And I can feel that like intuitively. So me not pursuing it right now doesn't mean I never will. It just means right now I think there are other figs that are taking precedence in my life. So you could kind of pick your creative endeavor of the season, of the time period, but you can also think about it in terms of the seasons. Like, winter is going to be my wellness era. Winter is my wellness time. Like, winter is going to be my introspective time, because that's what winter is for. So I'm going to work on nurturing myself first, so that, come spring and summer, I can be prepared to do these other things. And spring will be my creative era. I'm going to ideate and come up with new visions for my future. And summer will be my business building era. Like, I'm going to start taking the real steps. You could think about it like that. Or you could also, as I mentioned, think about which of these figs am I picking off the tree right now. For me, I still feel like the focus is building my platform. It's like continuing to build a library of builds my audience and not yet scaling fully. So in my mind, like I have my fig priorities. For you, this might be school. Maybe you're like, oh, eventually I really, really want to do this and this and this, but right now school is the priority. Or you might be like, right now the fig that I need to prioritize is finding a new job and a new career path, because the current one is just harming me, hindering me. I need change. I need to get out of this path. It's not right. Then we make the future figs list. We think about, okay, once I'm kind of done with this one, or once I feel like I've mastered this one or am on track for this one, what do I see being the sensible next steps? What future figs make the most sense after this one? Things that you want to do eventually. And the reason that this is helpful is obviously it gives you a clear next step. Like, once I'm done with this, once I've kind of finished this phase of my life, this is what I will be moving on to. But it also soothes our brains a little bit because it's like telling yourself, not that you're suppressing this and like you're choosing one thing and leaving all the others, but it's showing yourself that you have it coming in your future. Like you are making time for it eventually. It's just now isn't the right time, but it's exciting to look forward to and think that, okay, after we're done with this step, maybe you're at the first hardest step of the phase, you have these other things to look forward to. So think about which future figs make the most sense to put after the one you're currently working on. The third step of this is making micro steps. Micro steps kill paralysis. Remember that perfectionism we talked about and the kind of fear of starting something because you don't want to do it wrong or you're not sure how to do it yet. You feel like everyone else must be an expert and I'm not. So like, what do I have to offer? And why could I contribute anything to it? Like the space is already saturated. I don't know what to do. All of that. Micro steps are what get you past that. Our brains hate ambiguity. So goals like post a video every week, post a podcast every week, read 5 books a month. Our brain hates things like those because they're just kind of up in the air. It's like, okay, whenever I write goals like that, it doesn't do anything for me. It's not a good way to make a goal. So just saying something like start a business, be more consistent, get better grades, those aren't meaningful goals because they don't feel meaningful. They feel ambiguous. Our nervous system literally reads it as a threat. Like it doesn't feel like a confident next step. It literally feels like, okay, and you need to start a podcast and you need to start content creation and you need to start doing real estate. Like, it's like, okay, what? Like, where do I even begin? Our prefrontal cortex has become overwhelmed when we have these big tasks like that, where we're like, I don't even know where to start. Like, it literally reads it as a threat. So the micro steps in the right direction are what reduce the threat and like break it down to a task that feels doable and achievable. So for example, saying something like post a video every week feels like a lot, but saying edit a video for 30 minutes feels like, okay, like I can do that. Saying start a business feels crazy, but saying brainstorm business name ideas feels like, okay, that's reasonable. Like I can do that. So if your goal is post videos every week, the micro steps for this could be import the footage to my computer, do rough cuts of the video, make the intro of the video, choose the music for the video, edit the first 15 seconds of the video. And that way we have tiny little baby steps that we can check off, because if you make a to-do list with such big tasks like start a business, post a video, but really inside those tasks are a billion little baby tasks, it's going to feel like, okay, why am I never checking anything off my to-do list? And if the goal is clean your room, the micro tasks could be clear the garbage out of your room, wipe the surfaces, pick up the laundry off the floor, If your goal is to start therapy, but you're like, girl, I don't even know where to start, the first could be research therapist offices online, make a call to a therapist. The brain relaxes when things feel doable. And step number 4, limit inspiration intake. This might sound crazy because you're like, oh, inspiration's so amazing. I love Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok. Okay, problem here is like we're in a digital overload era of society where, as we kind of mentioned, all of this inspiration is almost paralyzing rather than creativity inducing. Too many ideas equals no action. And weirdly enough, I find my best ideas, my most inspiration strikes not when I'm scrolling through my phone, but when I'm taking a walk, not on my phone, like when I'm taking a shower and I kind of just think about the way I've been feeling and reflect. Those are when I get my best ideas. When I'm scrolling on my phone, I actually don't feel like it's the good kind of inspiration. It's like the stressful kind of inspiration. It's like, oh, everyone's already decorated for Christmas. Like, I need to go do that. Oh, everyone's already posting their Christmas videos. Great, I'm already behind. Like, it's a stressful type of inspiration. It's like a forced feeling rather than coming from a place of flow. So I do struggle with that because I do love, like looking at cute things online, but it can feel like it stunts growth more than it helps it at times. So you could go through like inspiration fasts where you're going to take a break from scrolling Pinterest for a few days, or you're going to curate your feed so much that you're not like constantly comparing like 12 different lives that you'd like to live, if you know what I mean. Like if you follow all these people that you're just like jealous and envious of, might not be good for you right now. And lastly, number 5 is to let hobbies be hobbies. You don't need to monetize everything. And this is something I guess I sort of struggle with because it can feel feel like, if you're good at it, like why not make money off of it? And I sort of feel like I've turned my hobby into my job, which is a little bit of a slippery slope because, it's like you could become to hate it because it's now tied to work, but you can do things just because they're fun. You don't have to be productive all the time. And hobbies are so incredibly beneficial for us to just let our creativity flow, to give our nervous system time to relax, to expand our neural pathways by learning new things and new skills. So don't underestimate the power of a true hobby, of learning something cool. And also, you don't need to learn like a billion new hobbies. Pick one. It could be like, I really want to learn how to sew, and I'm going to take the steps that it takes to get there. Or I really want to start taking dance classes, so I'm going to find a studio and sign myself up. So you don't have to feel like, oh my gosh, everyone has all these amazing hobbies. Like, I need to crochet, knit, scrapbook, dance, journal. Like, it can be too much. So let hobbies be hobbies, and don't get overwhelmed with having too many hobbies. Also know that you can learn a hobby and then pick up another one later. We've talked about a lot today. I've hopefully given you quite a bit to think about, but my ultimate takeaway with diving into this topic and, having this problem of I have too many figs and not enough time is just take it one fig at a time. And realistically, the figs won't shrivel up and wilt and die as you're doing one. Things will always be there for you. And although certain opportunities may pass you by, like let's say you have a job offer you're trying to decide if you should take it or not. Clearly, like not accepting that job offer would be metaphorically letting that fig like wither and die. But sometimes it's okay if you don't feel aligned with this opportunity that's being presented in front of you. And it might sound corny for me to just keep saying like what feels aligned and what feels right and in flow, but that's truly how it feels. Like you know if something feels right or not. And I know that it's almost like choosing your intuition is a privilege. Like there aren't times where you can just turn down a job offer because you need the money. And I totally understand that and like have been, in situations like that. But I think keeping in mind what the true like North Star for you is, what you feel is the priority right now. And when you look at all these figs, like think about if I were to pick one that I want to do the most right now, what is it? Like which one of these figs would hurt me emotionally the most if I didn't do them? That might be like the priority for you. Every version of yourself will have a moment. That's another takeaway I've had. Like each phase of my life is a new phase of me with new interests and hobbies and new creative endeavors. And that's the beauty of life. So as you grow, change, get older, you have opportunities to do these new things, and choosing one thing doesn't mean never doing the others. And lastly, the path will reveal itself through movement, not overthinking. So only as you start to do things, start to make choices, make decisions, will you realize what feels right and what doesn't. And again, don't worry about, making the wrong choice and kind of feeling paralyzed by that. Even what seems to be the wrong choice serves you a purpose. And I mean, the biggest purpose is like showing you what you truly want and what is the clear path for you. So there really is no wrong choice. Everything is going to provide value to your life. And I think the main thing here is following your curiosity, your softness and alignment, and letting the rest unfold. Because I've definitely seen in my own life when I've followed those inklings, nudges I had to do certain things, like what I felt was my calling. It was work, but it flowed. It was hard, but it was right. It was demanding, but it felt exciting and like something I wanted to be spending my time on. So I think that kind of sums up what I wanted to say on this topic. The question of the day, along with the assignment of making your own fig tree in your journal, I want you to reflect and think about what is your fig of season right now. You can comment it and let me know if you feel up to sharing, or send me a DM, or just simply think about it and gain some clarity about what you want to pursue the most right now. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful to have spent this time with you, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Don't forget, if you want to keep up with me more, you can check out my main YouTube channel and also follow the Glow and Tell Instagram, glowandtell.pod, for a bit of weekly support regarding each episode. Hope you have an amazing day, and I will talk to you soon.